When you're underpacing, what does underpacing mean? First of all, 'cause y'all out there have different definitions. I'm gonna tell y'all what we think it should be, at least what it is. Underpacing means it comes down to the dollar amount. Okay. That means that if I'm supposed to spend $1,000 in 10 days, I've only spent $50 in 4 days, and you're way below. You should be spending what, $100 a day or something like that. So you're underpacing. You're spending less compared to the amount of time you're supposed to spend it. Okay. So underpacing is something that can be distracting when you're not pacing well. You cannot focus on performance, right? Like you got to spend this money a little bit. Like impression got to come in for you to make an intelligent decision. There's a few ways I recommend to look at when you're underpacing, so spending less than what you're supposed to. You can look at your geographical area. So I know that in some cases you can change geo, but if you can open up your geo a little bit. Okay. The second thing you can look at is the audience. Is your audience too niche for that particular zip code, right? Or maybe you need a radius around that zip code instead of like those two zip codes. The audience is too niche. You have to open up the audiences a little bit. Yeah, it defeats the purpose of being niche and targeted, but ultimately it's like maybe you just don't have enough of this audience within that geo. So always look at audience, always starts with geo and audience first. The other thing is that I would say, let me retrace it back. Actually, look at your base bid too. Is the base bid too low? Maybe you're not aggressive enough. Okay. If you're not aggressive enough, then you gotta pump up that base bid. Okay. Maybe it's just too low and you're not aggressive or competitive enough. So that's that too. So you can look at base bid, you can look at geo, you can look at audiences. And also you can also look at your brand safety filters. Maybe they're too strict. Okay, maybe sometime you need to open it more, or maybe you need to have a direct deal or a PMP added to that. Okay, that's going to rise up your CPM, which is different than the base bid again. But ultimately, you're trying to diversify. It's like, okay, if I only have access to this type of audience, I can touch my audience. I can't touch the geo. Base bid is super strict. I can only lift it up by a couple dollars, but that's not moving the needles. Then you have to add more inventory. Maybe you need more open internet. Maybe you need more. I'm sorry, open internet. I'm going to say open web, open exchange. Maybe you need to reach out to some of these sellers and SSP and explain that we need inventories. Like, trust me, SSPs out there, publishers, they want to give you inventory. You just got to ask for them. You got to ask the right people too. And be mindful to ask the minority owned media as well. Okay.